the nation's capital, the Conservative Caucus presents Conservative Roundtable, an in-depth look at today's most important issues.
Welcome to Conservative Roundtable. I'm Howard Phillips, chairman of the Conservative Caucus, which sponsors Conservative Roundtable. It's my great privilege to have as our guest Nellie Gray, whom I've known for a few decades. Nellie is an historically important person because as much as anyone in America, she has kept alive the principled campaign against the killing of unborn children. And now some 50 million unborn children have been killed by abortion. And that doesn't even count those who've been killed by contraception and the morning after pill and things of that kind. And Nellie, I salute you for what you've done. Nellie was telling me before the broadcast that when she began the March for Life, the year after Roe v. Wade, January 22, 73, she began it in 74. She didn't expect the battle to go on forever. Did you think we were going to win quickly?
Oh, yes. That first march, and I'm not really the one who, I was just there with a large number of other people who organized that first march. And it was a wonderful turnout. 20,000 people came that we got in a very short time. The buses came from all along the East Coast. We had members of Congress out on the west steps of the Capitol. It was a very important occasion. It was well done in the sense that everybody was there. And our message was strong. We would overturn Roe versus Wade because we could not have even one preborn child intentionally killed in America. So we had a good message, and the people were there. It was 70 degrees that day with the sun shining, and we formed a circle of life around the Capitol with our message and many members of Congress. So it seemed a sure thing that our message had gotten through to Congress and the Roe v. Wade would be overturned.
The first duty of the law is to prevent the shedding of innocent blood.
Right.
And
do no harm.
And in 1990, I think I was the only conservative who opposed the confirmation of David Souter, because he had been responsible for the shedding of innocent blood at two hospitals of which he was an overseer in New Hampshire, which previously had had no abortions. And unfortunately, many conservatives were deluded by the fact that Warren Rudman told them he was okay and John Sununu said it was a home run, but they didn't look at the evidence. And now, on a whole variety of fronts, the evidence is that there are many politicians who claim to be pro-life,
yes,
who favor the killing of children who have the wrong father, who are the results of rape or incest or whatever. Before we go into this more, let me just say to the audience that you've had a remarkable career. You grew up in Texas. You were a corporal in the WACS, the Women's Army Corps. You went to law school. You served with the Department of State in Germany, the Department of Labor in D.C. You went to Georgetown Law, and you were admitted to practice in '59 and before the Supreme Court in '63. And since '73, you've been devoting yourself full-time to the pro-life cause. Pope John Paul II conferred an important award on you in recognition for your leadership and your service, and you're the president of the March for Life Education and Defense Fund, which is nonprofit, nonpartisan, non-sectarian. And what I so much admire about your work is that it is uncompromising. No unborn child should be intentionally killed.
Yes.
But a great many have been. And I've met a number of women who fortunately were allowed to live despite having been the products of rape or incest or whatever. Thank God they were allowed to live.
We have them at our conventions.
Yeah. Where do you see this going? Are you encouraged by the fact that there's now some opposition to the funding of Planned Parenthood? By the way, when I was director of the Office of Economic Opportunity, I cut off the money that went to Planned Parenthood, and after I left, they put it back in. But without those taxpayer dollars, Planned Parenthood would be in much more difficult straits.
Well, I think the mere fact there is even one tax dollar being used anywhere appropriated for the intentional killing of an innocent child. And the important thing is that when you look at the intentional killing of a defenseless preborn child, and also the harm that is being done to that pregnant mother, you realize there's no moderate view. The one thing that we haven't been able to really get impressed on America is you either are for abortion or against it. There is no middle ground, and therefore there can be no exceptions because we haven't figured out what you do with half of a baby. Half a baby is as dead as a whole baby.
Solomon pointed that out, didn't he, King Solomon?
Right, you see. And so we have an issue, unlike all the other issues. If this were a zoning issue or an appropriation issue, we could all make concessions and get together and do a bipartisan issue. However, here, you either kill the baby or you do not. And so, obviously, the March for Life began recognizing that, unfortunately, some of the people operating in the name of right to life, many of the politicians, wanted to make some kind of an exception for the life of the mother, or rape or incest. Now, for the life of the mother, we have the principle of equal care, so that you would take care of both the mother and the preborn child. And there is simply, in medicine, no need to be intentionally killing either the mother or the child. Now, both of them may die, but there is no need to intentionally kill.
This year you had your most successful March for Life ever. Why do you think it did so well?
I think it's a combination of things. There is no doubt that the pro-life people had worked very, very hard for one of the candidates, presidential candidates, thinking that at least nominally he was pro-life, and therefore they were hoping to at least get some recognition of the preborn children and help for those children and for the mothers. He didn't win, but a man who has already announced his preference for the choice for women intentionally to kill their children did win. And the people had prayed so hard and wanted so hard for us to now turn the corner and get more pro-life legislation and work done. Unfortunately, when our president came in, he had made promises to his constituency of the feminist abortionists, and he has carried out those promises of providing more money for abortion, and also, unfortunately, talking about a conscience clause that he finds saying that health professionals may not operate in accordance with their conscience. Therefore, what that says is, if someone does not want to intentionally kill the children, they must either participate in the killing of the children or lose their medical license. And this is not an appropriate thing for anyone in America to think about. So what we have then was people recognizing that, unfortunately, there were more and more abortion provisions coming to our country, and they came to Washington to tell Washington officialdom that we are here as pro-life Americans who are going to save these children, and we're not going away. We're going to save these children.
My father-in-law was a physician, and I recall vividly how strongly he was opposed to abortion, and the fact that when I knew him in the 1960s, doctors who performed abortions were pariahs. They were shunned. They were regarded properly as murderers.
Of course.
How did that change?
I think, unfortunately, the times of the 60s and so forth, where there was an enormous change of attitudes in America that most of us did not like and we did not participate in. And
Why did that come? Was it because of the pill?
I don't know whether it was the pill or a complete change in style, beginning with attacks on the family, so that the family discipline and so forth was not as
I think
as
the
well.
Griswold case, facilitating contraception, put us on the slippery slope.
Well, I think that's true too. That was long ago, and but I think it's much more than that. I think that it is a complete lack of understanding of what it means when somebody says they want a woman to have a choice. They won't finish the sentence. It means to intentionally kill her innocent preborn child. Now that's just simply anathema, and it was in the Hippocratic Oath for many, many years. It's no longer in the Hippocratic Oath. So you've got a breakdown of basically our moral and family structure. Now, not recognizing that there is a killing of an innocent human being is the most difficult thing that we have to overcome.
Well, the whole concept of marriage and producing children has been replaced with the concept of sexual activity having as its primary purpose pleasure.
And simply a breakdown of the marriage, a breakdown of the family, a breakdown of the children in the home, a breakdown of parental assistance in the home. Think of the parental help that we had as children with our schools and so forth. And no one felt, and certainly I haven't felt, this whatever this terrible thing is that the feminists are unfortunately championing against women. So, and it's going to be worse, I think.
We're going to have to take a break here. Please stay with us. Nellie Gray, the leader of the March for Life, is our special guest, and we'll continue this discussion right after these messages.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my
Welcome back. I'm Howard Phillips with pro-life heroine Nellie Gray. Nellie, one of the great things you've done is emphasize the life principles, no exceptions. It really grieves me when I see politicians get away with characterization as pro-life when they favor killing some of the babies.
Yeah, I know. It's extremely bad. One of the important things that we're trying to do now as the March for Life is to emphasize the life principles. And basically, they're very simple. They're on our website, by the way, at marchforlife.org. There are 7 principles, and they're just, the way they were developed was, in those early days, I'm talking about 1974 and so forth, we were aware that many of the people operating in the name of right to life also felt it was very compassionate at least to come out and say, except for the life of the mother and so forth. There were a large group of us who realized that once you make a provision to kill one of the babies, then your principle is compromised. And as I said before, there is no middle ground. You must save all of the babies, or else you have this horror of killing innocent preborn human beings. So from 1974, we developed what we call the life principles, 7 of them, which are basic homicide, the homicide laws that we're all used to.
Give us the 7.
Yeah, it's a summary of them also is on our website. And the beginning is to recognize that an individual human being is in existence at fertilization, not conception now, because that was later defined as implantation. So a human being is in existence at fertilization. And it's extremely important to emphasize this because Roe v. Wade is built on the assumption that no one knows when life begins, but we do by science. So as soon as a human being is in existence, then for us, the unalienable right to life endowed by our Creator attaches, and that human being must have that right to life protected. And then in summary, we're saying between individual human beings by age, health, or condition of dependency, each human being has his right to life protected.
Even the elderly.
The elderly, the young, the handicapped, nothing by age, health, or condition of dependency. An important one of the principles is a simple thing of, if you don't know whether or not an individual human being is in existence, as they try to say with the pill and so forth, then opt to preserve life. You do not opt to do those things which kills a life. And another very important, the last principle is one that we're used to hearing about with hunters. If you don't know whether or not that life is there and you hear a rustle in the bushes, we tell the hunter, don't shoot, it may be your partner. And we're saying the same thing to opt for life and conduct yourself in a way of preserving life. Now, when you get these principles put together, it's very interesting. These principles were put together pulling ordinary law of homicide, thou shalt not kill. When we put them together, we initially designed them to say, don't kill. And one of the members, by the way, there were 30 members or so of us working on these principles, putting them together. He said, rather than going negative, let's go positive and say we have a duty to preserve and protect. So our principles are set in the tone of, we have a duty to preserve and protect innocent human life. Once those principles were set, we felt very comfortable with them and put them in the Constitution of our March for Life incorporation documents. Then we realized that, by the way, I came to the whole issue of the evil of abortion from being of the World War II era, and recognizing the Holocaust, seeing the bodies that we saw of the Holocaust victims, and saying our country sat in judgment of the Holocaust people at that time and said, doesn't make any difference whether you've got a law that says you can kill these people or your boss told you to do it, you're individually responsible. These are crimes against humanity when you single out a whole class of people to kill. And now we had, here in my beloved America, we had a class of people, the innocent preborn children, singled out to be killed. and do that according to the words of the Supreme Court. Well, the Supreme Court can't make laws, so therefore it is not valid for any of us to say that Roe v. Wade has made legal the intentional killing for all 9 months. The only thing that has happened is they decriminalized it, and now we have to make sure that we get those protections again. But in addition, we have the principles of a secular law, we have the principles of the Nuremberg trials, and then we have the principles of church law that apparently has addressed this issue of abortion long ago and absolutely said abortion was against human dignity and not to be provided.
My view is that Roe v. Wade may be binding on Roe and Wade, but it's not law.
It cannot be law.
It's binding on the parties to the case, period. And frankly, even it's very unlikely, given Obama's presence in the White House and his ability to fill vacancies in the court, very unlikely that Roe v. Wade in the near future would be overturned. But that doesn't mean we can't do other things to stop abortion.
Well, that's it.
The states can act independently to prohibit abortion.
They can act independently, and many of my friends working in the states, particularly out in the West, are indeed trying to even amend their own state constitution. However, the preference of the March for Life is that while if we can outlaw
You'd like to have it nationwide.
We've got to. Otherwise, what you'll have is abortion sites on state lines, and you'll have them running
And
lines
as with
back
slavery, some slave, some not slave.
Right. And we've already been through that. When you have an evil this evil, you simply must address it at the federal level and prohibit the intentional killing of innocent human beings throughout the United States.
We're going to have to take another break, Nellie, and when we come back, I'd like you to offer some summary comments. First of all, tell us how you've been so successful in continuing the march all these years. I know you work on it all year long.
Right.
And where do you get the people to help you, and how much does it cost, and where do you get the funding? I mean, it's a miracle what you have done. Stay with us, and Nellie Gray will tell us more when we come back. The Bible tells us that parents are responsible for the nurture and admonition of their children. That means that the children are not the responsibility of civil government. They're not the responsibility of politicians, bureaucrats, and judges. They're the responsibility of parents. The federal government is limited in its authorized scope to its delegated enumerated functions. Education is not one of them. Yet the role of the federal government in education has unfortunately been increased year after year after year. The Conservative Caucus, promoting constitutional fidelity, is working to completely remove the federal government from subsidy and regulation of education, which should be subject to parental and local determination and control.
The Conservative Caucus, www.conservativeusa.org or 703-938-9626.
Welcome back. I'm Howard Phillips, chairman of the Conservative Caucus, which sponsors Conservative Roundtable. If you are interested in the kinds of issues we discuss on Conservative Roundtable, I hope you will check out our website, www.conservativeusa.org. If you want to receive some of our literature with no cost or obligation, please fax contact information to us at 703-281-4108, or if you prefer snail mail, our address is 450 Maple Avenue East. That's in Vienna, Virginia, 22182. And just address it to TCC, the Conservative Caucus. We've been privileged to have as our guest for this broadcast a woman who has done so much to advance the cause of life and to reject the idea that it's okay to kill some of the babies. And if you want to help her or contact her at the March for Life Education and Defense Fund, you can check out the address on the screen. I hope you'll consider participating in the March for Life, which is each year on January 22nd. Nellie, thanks so much for being with us. What else do you want to say to this audience?
I want everyone to know you've been very kind, and I appreciate it, but this is not a one-person activity. This is thousands of people who are coming together in their local communities and bringing the buses down. And last year we had 300,000 people on January 22, and we're already scheduled for the 37th Annual March for Life, January 22, 2010. And there again, that will be the large participation of people from throughout the United States. Members of Congress will be our speakers, and we will present our pro-life message of the life principles to Washington officialdom. You'll be very pleased to see the number of young people who are at the March for Life now. A lot of activity, and they realize, these dear young people are there, realize that a third of the young people in their age have unfortunately been intentionally killed in America. The total now is over 50 million since Roe versus Wade. So the important message is the March for Life will indeed be here again on January 22 with the participation from all the people throughout the United States. It's an American event, and we'll have everyone there for you.
Attorney Nellie Gray, founder of the March for Life, or one of the founders, and its leader for a number of years, has been our guest. Thank you for joining us on Conservative Roundtable.